Street vendors left their carts behind to march to City Hall on Thursday, demanding that the city fix the rules that have subjected many of them to steep fines and even arrests. News 12's Shakti Dennis went down to City Hall to bring us more on the changes that they're hoping to see.
Sami Saleh has been selling halal food in Times Square for 15 years, but he says this summer was particularly expensive.
It's over 100 tickets for the past 3 months.
Most of them, he says, are for minor violations.
You're not 18-inch from the curb. You're not 10 feet away from the crosswalk.
Police have seized his cart more than once, but he says many of the rules are impossible to follow.
So the police come and measure. It's impossible for me to be 18-inch away from the curb because I have to be in the front of the ballers.
On Thursday, he marched to City Hall with dozens of his fellow street vendors to ask the city council to introduce legislation that would overhaul the street vending industry.
We need investments, we need resources, we need support.
Their demands include more support from NYC Small Businesses Services that's catered specifically to street vendors, additional locations where they can sell legally, and more civilian oversight as opposed to police enforcement. They're also urging the city to lift the cap on the number of permits the health department can issue, which forces many vendors to sell without a license.
I tried many times. I follow up the application, I send them, and I call them. They say you are in the waiting list. Waiting list, 4 years I worked.
In January of 2021, the city council passed legislation that would gradually expand the number of permits. The city was allowed to start issuing 400 new street vendor permits this past July, but almost 3 months later, none of them have been issued. The health department issues those permits. In a statement, they said in part, "The process is behind schedule, in part because we want to be responsive to the public comments we received in the proposed rules and give this feedback the deliberation it deserves." Street vendors say all they want is to be able to make a living legally and without fear of retaliation. In front of City Hall, I'm Shakti Dennis, News 12.